Hey everyone, it's Sam over at JumpCut Play. Welcome back to another video, and today I just wanted to do something a little quick, something that I'm always kind of thinking about actually when it comes to gaming. As somebody that has more of a background inside of filmmaking, I've got kind of a soft spot for the movie tie-in, and we've actually discussed this before on JumpCast quite a while back with my good friend Jack. And yeah, it's an era of gaming, like we said in the podcast, that's kind of been forgotten, and maybe that's for good reasons. But the reason I'm thinking about it as of late is that with IO Interactive developing a new James Bond title, and they've got like full carte blanche to do whatever they want. Well, I'm assuming so, guessing by what they've said. You know, it's an origin story. It's not based on a cinematic Bond in likeness or story-wise there. It's not based directly on any Ian Fleming books as far as we know, because the details on the project are quite scarce, but it's a fresh take on James Bond, and it's been quite a while since we've actually had that when it comes to video games. I mean, to me, the one that comes to mind the most is James Bond Nightfire. I mean, most people probably would go for GoldenEye on the N64, and rightly so, but for me, Nightfire, I had hours of fun on the multiplayer on that game with my brother, and it was one of those games that helped as well because it had AI for the multiplayer, so you had bots, so even if you played it alone, you could still have those fun arena shootouts, and James Bond Nightfire definitely delivered in spades when it came to that. I mean, you had the Sky Rail mission, and you could like attack yourself with the phone that could grapple onto stuff and get in the Sky Rail carts, and you could use the like rocket launcher that was like automated with the analog stick. It was so cool, and it was so much fun, and I've got so many fond memories of playing that with my brother till like the late hours, and it was always a fight of who could be James Bond, what characters could we be. I love that. I've got so much nostalgia for that game, and over the years, the James Bond games, while we're just looking at those, there's been some mixed entries, shall we say. I mean, I think that the last really good one, in my opinion, while I've got love for Bloodstone, I think Everything and Nothing, like 2004, Everything and Nothing was probably like the last truly like amazing Bond title. I mean, that game had so many fantastical levels that pulled from the kind of more ridiculous tone of like Die Another Day, like towards the end of Pierce Brosnan's 10 years Bond. It was a bit more out there, maybe like kind of like a pre-blueprint of sorts to the Fast and Furious films, like where they are now, because there's like sequences in that game where James Bond jumps off a cliff and skydives after a woman and shoots people in succession while he's skydiving. It's fucking awesome if we're going to be blunt about it. It's one of the best sections in the game, and yeah, I miss that. And when we're looking at movie tie-in games now, I'm struggling to think like a direct tie-in. The only other thing that I can think of is the recent Terminator game. That had a PS5 upgrade. While it's not based on a film as such, it's obviously based on the film property Terminator, and that's the only like recent example I can think of. I'm sure there's loads of mobile games out there for stuff in the MCU, like the Avengers. I'm sure there's something that has been adapted for a mobile game. I remember that there was the Amazing Spider-Man games, the open world Dark Knight Rises game. The point is there was tons of like tie-in games, especially for the mobile, which is another interesting point as well, because it seemed like towards the end of the tie-in era, if we're going to call it that, everyone was going over to mobile. Like I say, you had the Amazing Spider-Man 2, you had Dark Knight Rises, you had Iron Man games, and various other heroes getting their own time to shine in the spotlight. I'm of the mindset that I would kind of like to see more movie games. Obviously not like in the sense that, yeah, there's a movie coming out, let's rush a 6-month game into production, because that just doesn't really happen anymore. I miss that era, man. I've got so much nostalgia just for the concept of the tie-in game. I know it's a piece of marketing, it's just meant to get more cash in the studio's pocket and the filmmaker's pocket, but there's just something kind of charming about them. Thinking of other titles too, like even fucking Rocky Balboa got tie-in games. You had the first one on the Xbox, and then you had Rocky Legends, which actually was kind of a decent game. It took the characters from the franchise and gave them more fleshed out backstories that we didn't really see in the films, and you got to play through those as like a story mode, and you could pit people against each other, and some of the fights were a bit stupid, like you had Paulie fighting young Mickey and stuff like that, and then it had Rocky Balboa on the PSP, and then there's Creed Rise to Glory, I believe, on the PSVR. Not played that game, unfortunately, because I don't have a VR headset, but if they release, a quote-unquote normal version of it, I would probably play it. And even, like, Fast and Furious, I bought the goddamn Fast and Furious Crossroads game. A, because it was cheap, and B, who doesn't want to see, like, poorly rendered Vin Diesel lending his likeness and his voice talents to that game, and all the otherworldly nonsense that comes with the Fast and Furious franchise, because those games actually do lend themselves quite well. Those movies lend themselves quite well to games, and it's a shame that that title is actually a big dog shit. But you know, that's I guess what happens. But bringing it back round to IO Interactive, because that's something of contention I really want to talk about. I am really excited for that James Bond title. Just the prospects of what they've done with the Hitman franchise and lending that to James Bond. I've not seen quite a match made in heaven with a studio and a property in quite some time. Like, they are made for each other, James Bond and IO Interactive. And another title that comes to mind as well, just before I quickly round it off, Wanted Weapons of Fate is another one I have a soft spot for. It's linear and very samey, I get that completely, but there's something odd about that game that really, like, it's not that deep, but it, like, speaks to me on, like, a fun level, in that you've got the bullet mechanic that is still really satisfying to pull off. You've got the likenesses of some of the characters from the films, and it exists in the lore of the universe as well. It continues like 5 hours after the movie ends, which I'm a big fan of, and always wanted a sequel to that movie. In a world where everything gets sequels, I feel like Wanted should have been a film that got it. It made a profit. I thought it was decent, but just because I thought it doesn't mean it necessarily deserves one. But you know, in any case, what are Weapons of Fate? It's a little bit of an underrated gem in my opinion. That's just another title that came to mind. But yeah, what do you guys think about movie tie-in games? It's such a really interesting era of gaming, like throughout the last like 2 or 3 decades. In that you can go way back to like E.T. and stuff like that. That was god awful. And then you've got your like gems in there as well, like GoldenEye and whatnot. Is there any properties you'd like to see turned into games? And if so, let us know over on our Twitter in the comments below. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and thank you for letting me have a little bit of a rambler video today. It's just something I'm really passionate about and wanted to share with you guys. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.